This Sunday, February 23rd at 3 p.m. at the Crecent Arts Centre, the Winnipeg Philharmonic Choir will present its second concert of the season. Called Strings Attached, this concert will feature a beautiful repertoire that blends the rich sounds of chorus and strings. The concert will highlight works from both classical and contemporary composers with a special focus on the Norwegian choral master Ola Gjeilo. Joining the Phil for this performance will be a local string quartet, which includes as one of its members, Vijay Chalasani, the Philharmonic Choir's manager. This is going to be a marvelous concert and a perfect way to forget about the winter blahs and soak in some musical sunshine. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk about their concert, Strings Attached, I am joined by the Winnipeg Philharmonic Choir's manager, Vijay Chalasani. Hey, Vijay, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
I want to start out by asking about your role as manager of the Phil. When did you start the position, and can you talk about some of the things that you take care of regarding the administrative side of things?
Sure. I joined the choir in the summer of 2023. I had just moved to Winnipeg the previous year and became a Canadian permanent resident that spring. And started joining this wonderful musical community. And in my role as manager of the choir, I take care of the day-to-day administration, emails, all that kind of usual thing. I'm the only paid administrator for the organization, and besides Maestro Yuri Klas, the only regular employee of the choir. So I'm here to coordinate everything that the choir does. Make sure that our rehearsal venues are set, make sure that the choristers know what rehearsal plan is for each week. I coordinate planning for marketing, for development. I organize board meetings, all that sort of stuff.
Amazing. The concert is called Strings Attached. Can you talk about some of the conversations that took place around the inclusion of a string quartet in the performance? What was the thinking there, and whose idea was it?
It was actually Maestro Yuri Klas's idea, and I was really pleased by the idea, of course, being a string player myself, and it was a natural concept that came together based on the inclusion of music by Ola Gjeilo, who is one of our featured composers of this concert. Yuri has had a long relationship with Gjello's music, and I believe he's worked with him before in the past.
Yes, he has.
And so he wanted to bring some of that music to the Phil. And the pieces he was especially interested in were some of this repertoire by Gjeilo that includes accompaniment by strings. Sometimes string quartet, sometimes it's a single instrument. But when we thought about this repertoire and we thought about, well, what else could we do in a program that would make use of having some guest instrumentalists, this idea of having a strings and chorus collaborative program came together quite easily and naturally.
Can you talk about playing Ola Gjeilo's music as a string player? Like, what's it like to perform alongside a choir? Are you is the quartet providing sort of a supportive role, or do you find yourselves as a quartet having melody with the choir being the supportive role? What's the writing like?
It's a bit of both. There are a lot of times where the strings provide the choir a sort of supportive texture underneath which the choir can soar over the top of in these big, beautiful melodies that Gjeilo writes. There's other times where the strings join in and the strings become quite voice-like in their support of the choir. So I think Gjeilo does a really nice job of combining these kind of two musical tactics in a way to support and enhance what the choir is already doing.
Can you talk about who the other players are in the quartet?
Absolutely. I'm really thrilled to have some colleagues of mine who I frequently play with the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra with. So I have Rachel Christensen and Ludmila Priashniuk playing violin. And we have Barry Philsal. Oh, how do you say his last name? Philsheim playing cello. Really happy to have Barry and Mila and Rachel joining us.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Can you talk about some of the specific pieces by Ola Gjeilo that you're going to be performing?
Right. We have Tundra, The Rose, Evening Prayer, and The Ground for works of his that use really different types of texts, some of them English of origin, some of them Latin in origin, and kind of show off the breadth of his musical style.
Yeah, and all of it's beautiful. I know all four of those pieces really, really well. They're gorgeous. It goes without saying with Ola Gjeilo's music. For you, what are you hearing from the choir? What resonates with them about Gjeilo's music?
Yeah, I think they've been really excited. It sounds like it's really satisfactory to sing Gjeilo's music. And, a lot of choristers, especially ones who are volunteering their time to sing week to week, they really want to have music that they enjoy and can connect to right away when they spend their hard-earned free time on a Tuesday night rehearsing. And because of this, sometimes contemporary music can be a little bit scary. We don't know necessarily what we're going to get out of Gjeilo in the same way that we know what we're going to get out of Mozart or Mendelssohn, which also feature on this program, by the way.
Yeah, can you talk about some of those other works
Sure.
you're going to be performing?
Yeah, but just to wrap up that thought, I find that the choristers are really connecting with Gjeilo's music, and they're really finding it satisfactory to play, to sing, rather, that music each week. So we're also featuring, as I said, Mozart and Mendelssohn, the classics of the contemporary classics in this program. We are opening the program with Mendelssohn's Jesu meine Freude, which, if you recognize that name, it is also a famous motet by Johann Sebastian Bach, using a famous chorale tune. Mendelssohn definitely was inspired by Bach in writing this choral piece. And then we're closing the program with a very early mass by Mozart, his Missa Brevis in G, K49. He was only 17 years old when he wrote this piece. And you can really hear that youthful exuberance, that inspiration from the Italian singing tradition that Mozart was hearing as he traveled through Europe.
So it's going to be choir, and are the strings going to be sort of a small chamber ensemble?
Exactly. In both pieces, it's accompaniment by strings. In this type of piece, you might more traditionally have a string orchestra accompanying, but we're paring it down for the string quartet to match with the Phil size and to match with the intimate experience that we're creating as well in the pieces by Gjeilo.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. The concert takes place at the Crecent Arts Centre. It's a venue that's known for its great sound and intimate atmosphere. Have you and the Phil had an opportunity to rehearse there? And if so, what's it like?
Well, we'll be there with the strings this Friday ahead of the concert, but we do usually 2 of our programs each season in the Crecent Arts Centre. And so we were there most recently for our Christmas with the Phil concerts back in December, and I know the singers love when it's finally time to get into Crecent and have that beautiful warm acoustic surrounding them as they prepare for the performances. And I always hear feedback from our audiences that they love the experience of sitting in Crecent and hearing just that warm sound surrounding them.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap things up by asking, what are you looking forward to most about performing on Sunday?
I think it's just going to be great to have the experience of working with a choir. As a string player, I love working with vocalists. I always have. Vocalists are always one of our kind of primary inspirations as string players. It's also just fun to get to work with some friends, Rachel, Mila, and Barry. It's going to be great to be on stage with them and to kind of merge my roles as both administrator and string player. My 2 lives, which are often separate, but get to come together for this week.
Fantastic. Vijay, this has been so great to have you here today. The Winnipeg Philharmonic Choir's concert this Sunday is going to be amazing. Thanks for taking the time to drop by and talk to me today.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
For our Classic 107 listeners, the Winnipeg Philharmonic Choir's concert Strings Attached takes place this Sunday, February 23rd at 3 p.m. at the Crecent Arts Centre. For more details, visit thephil.ca or go to classic107.com. I have embedded a direct link to the show page in the article about the concert that is up there now. Vijay, thanks again.